trial recap 4. Okay, for day 4. Of course, as usual, we got a couple of topics to, some short topics to get through before we get to the meat and potatoes of everything. But before we get to all of that, I just want to say to all my stoners, hippies, and hip hop enthusiasts, welcome to the Doja Room. It has been quite the week in hip hop this week. It's been a lot going on. I'm trying to keep up with it all. Trust me. There's been music dropping. There's been battles, rap battles going on. There's trials. There's accusations. There's baby mama drama. I mean, hip hop this week has been fucking crazy. Okay, it's been crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's almost been impossible to keep up with it all. Okay, and be thorough enough as you can be, as I like to be. So, real quick, let's make sure everything is in order. We good? Y'all can hear me, it seems. Okay. But yeah, we're here. Roll yourself a blunt. Get comfortable if you got to go to work or if you're on the way to work. I hope you're having a safe drive and shit like that. I'm gonna run you through what's been going on just a little bit. It's just everything has just been crazy. Shit has just been wild this week. Shit has just been wild this week. Between the Diddy trial, between just the DDG shit and everything, and now what I'm about to get to this morning, it's just crazy. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? It's like it's almost been a full moon every day this week. I mean, even on a personal level, everything has just been popping off crazy. Okay, so I appreciate you guys for stopping in this morning. We're gonna get right into it. I want to talk about this first because I just think this shit is hilarious. So no pun intended, but just hilarious. Yesterday morning, attended her job intoxicated, whether she was drunk, whether she was high, whatever. But this woman was on one yesterday. Let's just run some of the clips.
And tell your truth was a poor choice.
Well, okay, so first I want to answer your question. So the bodyguard said that he didn't say anything because he was Kelsey's bodyguard, and he said that he felt an obligation to protect Kelsey. Now he's saying his conscience won't let him go forward. Just
yo, let freedom ring. Y'all thought I was asleep, yo. No. All I'm saying is
oh my
you guys
God.
hella.
Yo, she over there dozing on the like she's clapped. She's zooted, fried. That's what they say in Baltimore, right? Nigga, you fried, bro. Yo, why are you coming to work like this?
The times, and that's sad. Y'all playing the wrong instrumental for this sad stuff. Yo.
Lights, camera, action.
I mean, oh well, yeah.
We on, baby.
This is so
we
sad.
on, we on.
I will say though,
This thing said we on, the bitch. We live. What the fuck is wrong with you? Wake your dumb ass up. Like, yo, how comfortable do you have to be for you to fall asleep damn near on live TV, on live radio, be intoxicated, visibly and audibly drunk? Like, we can hear it. Like, this shit is crazy. Like, do you not see her? Like, how are you falling asleep and you work at the Breakfast Club, nigga? Shit, put me on the Breakfast Club. Nigga, I'll do a better job than Jess at this point. I'll do a better job than Jess. Shorty falling asleep on the job, smack zooted. She don't even have to be there every day. She barely even there, if y'all don't notice. She's barely there. She's always calling in and on some other shit or somewhere else. Like, she's barely even there. Yeah, this shit is crazy.
I think they've been trying to get Tory free for a little minute, and I think they have.
And
They've
he
been trying.
said in the album, yo, it's evidence. He said in the album that he coming home this year.
Shut up.
Yo.
Well,
He did say that. I swear he's
Yo. Yo, how are you this zooted? Yo, what the fuck? Yo, shorty is zooted like out her mind. Like, what the? Did she just leave a bar? Did she just leave a club? Like, yo, Shorty looked like she just left the spot and came straight to work. Like, what the fuck? Don't y'all shoot this shit at like 5 a.m.? Yeah, see, she came straight to work. She left the spot and came straight to work. They be shooting at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., some crazy shit. Yeah.
Said that y'all ain't listen to the album. He said he coming home this
The
year.
funny part is y'all can't see Jess, but she'll fall asleep and then she'll just pop up and
Ain't nobody falling asleep.
freedom ring. Let freedom ring.
Yo, how comfortable do you have to be, right? To sit here and just straight fall asleep on your job. Like, I done fired niggas for less. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And they just letting this shit rock. Like, they just letting it rock. Like, okay, you know, and mind you, Jess went on this whole rant, this whole, you know, scorched earth kind of thing when it came down to, you know, Lauren LaRosa coming in and taking her job. If y'all don't remember,
Said whatever, but I knew that it would
this was just a couple months ago.
upset
No pun intended. That's a little wordplay for y'all.
Envy. I knew it would upset Lauren. That's why you closed the elevator this morning.
That was crazy. Now, why would you do that, Lauren?
I wanted
They
to
pulled up at the
Like,
together, so we got to figure this out. And it's not everything's not
Stories and things like that.
exactly why I had Eddie in the room or EP
I don't
to have
understand.
the
I never ever
conversation.
heard that.
Because
When you've pulled me to the side a few times to ask me, you know, are you okay? How do you feel like about the stories and things like that? You've never said what you just said to me. Now listen, I have said, hush, shut up. Like, yo, you overtalk. And like I said, I'm not about to be
like, this was her. Remember, this was her a couple months ago. She was crying on the Breakfast Club. She was mad that they was trying to inch her out and, you know, and move Lauren LaRosa in. But you showing that you really don't give a fuck about this job. Like, you get paid 6 figures. You get paid 6 figures. There's niggas out here busting their ass doing more for a point percent of what you're making. They come in, they're professional, they're on time, they're on point, they ain't intoxicated. Shit, it be hard out here. I ain't even gonna hold you. If you smoke a little blunt before work, it's a lot going on out here. I wouldn't even be mad at you if you know how to conduct yourself. If you take a shot before work, whatever the fuck you do before work, you know what I'm saying? And the only thing I would ask, and that I usually ask as a manager, is that you come in on your P's and Q's. I shouldn't be able to notice. I shouldn't be able to tell that you're intoxicated or you're fucked up or that you took a shot before work or that you smoked a blunt before work. I shouldn't be able to tell it. I shouldn't be able to smell it. I shouldn't be able to do anything like that. You shouldn't be slurring, like, and you're on radio. You're on talk radio. And she was over here crying and this and that. And now look,
1051.
this is her
Jess is
today.
here. She's a little intoxicated.
Mind you, they gave her own segment now called Jess Solve My Mess or whatever. And she is over here giving advice while intoxicated on the radio, straight fucked up. Fuck up. As they say in Charleston, I fuck up. Okay? She all fuck up. And you listen to her come on radio and try to give you advice? You niggas is calling in for her to give you advice? Look at this bitch. Look at you. Yo, she is fucked up. She zooted out her mind. Now, some people saying she high, whatever. It sounds like she just straight drunk to me. She sounds like she just drunk. I don't know what else she took or what else she taken, but I don't even as like this is where I, you know what I'm saying, you gotta look at the people around you too, because I don't know. My friends and shit like that, and niggas knowing you got, you know, if Charlemagne is your real friend and whatever the case may be, homie should have pulled you to the side and been like, yo, shorty, we gonna call this segment for the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Go sleep this off. Go do, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna let Lauren do, you know, run things for the day. Go sleep this off. How did y'all let her come on national radio like this and TV, everything? Because at this point, YouTube is damn near national TV as big as y'all are. Y'all get millions and millions of views. Y'all do billions of views, to be honest. And y'all got this woman coming up here, smacked, straight smiggity.
Oh, stop telling everybody business all the time.
They can hear
Look
it.
at her.
God damn.
They gonna
bro.
think
Yo.
something else happened.
They don't. No, they not, yo. Yo, I know I sound like a stud today. I know.
You sound like a stud
understand
any
that.
other time. You just
No, I don't.
Yes, you
She's
do.
got extra
No, I
study
don't.
today.
That's
Yes,
she do.
extra study today.
Yeah, that's all.
Because that's how I sound when I get hoarse, yo.
No, that's how you sound when you leave Magic City after seeing all them women, and you like, damn, yo.
Period. Listen.
Word.
Nigga, period. Listen.
Shout out to Jizza Jai, yo. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, yo, she is fried. Yo, how y'all let her come on the radio like this? How y'all paying this woman 6 figures? Shit, swing that over to the Doja room. Like, I'll show you what to do. Fuck? Are you crazy? This is why black people aren't respected, bro. Like, this is why we aren't respected. We aren't taken seriously. There's all this quote unquote black fatigue and all of this. Because what is this? Like, what are y'all doing? How are y'all letting her put on for us like this? Like, the fuck? And this is why I say, like, y'all be having, this is why it's time for, and I'll say this again and again, it's time for these niggas to pass the torch, because who do y'all have coming up here speaking on hip hop, being the leading voices of hip hop, giving them a platform? Like, y'all can say what y'all want about academics. He don't be like this. He don't be like this, nigga. That nigga, well, goddamn, like, shorty is, bro. She's gone. Like, she probably ain't even about to remember this. She probably don't remember this today. How do the higher ups not pull her aside and say, hold on, we gotta reevaluate this whole thing. This is not working. We can't do this. Like, never in my years, in all my days, have I seen this. I've never seen some shit like this. I've never seen somebody get on the talk show, radio show, TV show, and they just be straight fried out their mind, straight drunk. Like, she's zooted.
It's all right. Just fix my message. The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Look, and she giving these people advice. She giving these people advice at the same time. Like, that shit is crazy. Like, come on. Like, are you kidding me? Is she really out here like trying to break down? Like, look at this shit. Hold on. This last segment is crazy.
I should go about that.
Yo.
He done hit now. So I mean,
You don't even know. Yo, Charlemagne had to take over. Like, homie asking her a question, presenting her a question, and she just like, yo. She don't know what to say. Basically, homie came in and said, yo, I seen this text message on Shorty's phone talking about I love you, this, that, the third, all of that good shit. And he asked her, you know, what should I do? Like, I asked her, what's up with that? She said, he's just a friend. And that was her response. So Charlemagne had to basically had to come in and, you know what I'm saying, do his thing, because it was just like, yeah, she's lost. She can't even respond. That's a basic no-brainer. Like, yeah, nigga, I can be off 10 blunts, 50 shots, and still tell you that, nigga. The fuck? It don't take a lot of brain power to tell you that.
what's the point?
I mean, yeah.
Dang, why you think he hit? Why you think he hit?
Oh,
No,
he
he's talking
definitely
about
hit.
he love her and all that. What
Yeah.
you mean? She done.
Yeah, you ain't got to worry. She told you ain't got to worry about him because she done hit, and she probably ain't enjoy it sexually.
This is Just Fix My Mess. Jess, what do you think?
I'm helping Jess because
I think
Yeah, nigga. Yeah, he said, yeah, you'll see. And this is the thing too. This is why Envy, he kind of seemed like he letting her sink right now. Because he like, nah, Charlamagne. She was mad because niggas was on her segment. I feel that. Y'all didn't see the play, but I seen the play just now. He like, nah, Charlamagne. She don't want niggas talking on her segment. She wants to do her own segment. Remember? She got a problem with niggas talking and taking over her segment. Let her do her segment. This is just Solve My Mess. What do you got to say? She don't know what the fuck to say right now. She is off her goddamn, bro. God damn, yo, this is crazy.
I think what Charlamagne said was right. For real. Yo, she already.
Why y'all think she hit though? Like, I mean, that's
Yo, son, she's gone, son. This is embarrassing. Like, I got secondhand embarrassment. For this shit. Like, how did you? Yo, son. All of y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Everybody that's sitting around her right now, whoever is broadcasting this, whoever gave this the okay, whoever let her come on like this, whoever owns this radio show, runs it, the producers, all of y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All of y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, because not only does this do a disservice to her, it do a disservice to Black women and people who want to be in her position, but it does a disservice to the platform that is the Breakfast Club and what it's built. And, you know, I mean, not to say that it's the most clean and pristine place of business. You know, the Breakfast Club has a history of some crazy and ratchet ass shit going on, mostly by Charlamagne. But it's always been entertaining. They've always came and shown up and did their job and been entertained. I mean, this is entertainment to laugh at her, but on a grander scheme of things, on a grander scale, looking at the big picture, this is terrible. Like, this is terrible that y'all let her come on like this and just be like completely drunk out of her mind. Like, this is wild. Like, I would have never okayed this. You know what I'm saying? I'd have been like, as her friend, I would never let my friend come online and expose herself like this. And just, it kind of just goes to show why the sentiment about Lauren LaRosa taking this spot and, being a better fit was brewing, because she doesn't take this position seriously. She doesn't take this opportunity seriously, and she barely even shows up. She's not even in the studio right there. She barely even shows up. She's not even there. So and there's no other way to show that she just doesn't give a fuck. So I don't know if maybe she's showing up like this because it's kind of like already a done deal. But me personally, I would just buy her out of her contract or let her, hey, yeah, you can keep that bread, but we're gonna just run a professional program from now on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? This is just not a good look. Okay. So we got our laughs in. That was, like I said, that was crazy. But yeah, they gotta do something about that. Shorty gotta get her shit together, because y'all gotta do better. Okay. So let's just do a quick rundown recap on the things elsewhere going on in hip hop. Okay. So recently we've had and it's crazy because I think we went over some of the footage about this person in particular the other day, but the Megan Thee Stallion fans have seemed to take up a cause. They've taken up a stand and started donating to support Santino Casio. Now, if you don't know who Santino Casio is, this is the person who stabbed Tory Lane or shanked him 14 times while he was in prison. And he was convicted for, as I said here, dating and killing a 13-year-old child. He dated her. And now Meg Thee Stallion fans, the woe is me, the stand for women and protect women and protect this and protect that. They are now supporting this man and starting a GoFundMe for him. So it says Santino Casio made a bold and courageous statement, one that echoed on behalf of women everywhere. In a moment of righteous fury, he took action against Tory Lanez, a man convicted of shooting Megan Thee Stallion, continuously glorified by the internet despite the trauma that he caused. Santino now faces harsh punishment. Harsh. Oh my God. And legal consequences for what many believe was a symbolic act of justice inside a system that failed to protect Megan Thee Stallion. Even though she won the case, he deserves. He doesn't have a million fans or lawyers. He has us, the baddies, the hotties. Let's show Santino he's not alone. Let's remind the world that real heroes sometimes live in the shadows. What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Yo, this is why I say these bitches is lost causes. Anybody who can sit through that case and defend Megan Thee Stallion and call it, I'd rather you just stay neutral. I'd rather you just be neutral. Okay? Don't say a fuck thing at all. Don't say nothing. Or say, it's just too many questions in the air. It's just too much going on. We don't know enough to call it which either way, So why do these women feel like it's okay to praise a man who we know 100% for sure harmed and killed a 13-year-old child? This is why I said these people are hypocrites. It's always protect black women until people like Santino Casio, people like Megan Kuniff, they are seemingly on the same side, quote unquote, as you. They're how did they say? I'm sorry. How did they refer to he took action. He took action against Tory Lanez. He had a symbolic act of justice. But they don't call it. These are people who don't call it down the middle. See, if you're a person who calls it down the middle, people are not going to like you. You're going to ruffle a lot of feathers. You're going to get a lot of haters. You're going to get a lot of people who disagree with you or feel like you're saying things for this reason or that. But when you have these same people who are calling for Tory's death, they're clapping their hands, they love the downfall, and they love to see black men being harmed, attacked, snuffed out. And it's just really crazy because it's like, I want to ask you women who constantly call for the death of black men, and you call for our downfall, and you call for this, you say we're terrible human beings, and every day y'all get online and slander the smallest inkling of of anything negative around their name. You take it as gospel. You're just ready to jump on it. What do you people do when there are no black men to protect you from the rest of the world? What do you do when the fathers, the brothers, the uncles, you can't call on them because y'all helped the rest of the world assassinate them? While everybody else held us down and held us and you know, pinned us to the ground, y'all came and walked over us and delivered the final blow. What do you think? All of the rest of the world is going to welcome you with open arms? You people are bitter, sad, disgusting, lonely, and I'm really inclined to believe that a lot of you have never been told that you're loved. Because for you to sit here and stand behind a man being wrongfully convicted, you hear all of this evidence to the contrary, or, you know, however you look at it, the case is just a mess. There's no way that you can look, even if you're a Tory fan. I don't care if you're a Tory fan. I don't care if you're a Meg fan. I don't care if you're just anywhere in the middle. You can't look at that case and how it was handled and be on one side or the other definitively, because the whole thing was a mess. As I said many times, we walked out with more questions than we went in. So, you know, I mean, I really think y'all gotta tighten the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, niggas really gotta tighten the fuck up, because it's really a sad case. It's really a sad thing to see that y'all putting on in this kind of way for, you know, a person who was with a 13-year-old romantically and then ended up taking her life. You know, you people are disgusting. If you're donating to this, you're disgusting human beings. I don't care what Tory Lanez did, or, you know, if he did or didn't do it at this point. To sit here and uplift a person like this, it just shows where y'all morals and where your true intentions lie. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of everything. All right, because we got to go ahead and get updated with the Diddy stuff. We're gonna, obviously, as we've been doing all week, pick up where we left off. Okay, and where we left off was Combs' lawyers presenting these 25 pages of messages or exhibits that were entered into evidence. It says, and they said, I would ask that the witness be allowed to read the entire documents. They said, how many pages? They said 8. And it says, we don't have a copy for the witness. And it says, we'll show it on the screen, but not to the public gallery. And that's where we left off yesterday, because I'm guessing they had to go through and show her all of this stuff. Okay, so we're going to pick up right from where we left off yesterday. Hope you guys are buckled in, got your blunts rolled, got your volume up. We're going to lock back in the court, and then we're going to seemingly go into what they have going on today. Okay, so let's get into it. Just get a swig of my drink. All right. So it says, they ask, you said Mr. Combs often put you down, but he also sent you encouragement and called you a queen. Now, real quick, let me set the stage for you guys just coming in and everything like that. And we're trying to get a grasp on what's going on here. Basically, from my understanding, you know, Combs' team is trying to angle this as, and you're going to see as we're reading through this, Combs' team is trying to angle this as, you know, look, you guys loved each other. You loved him. you would ask for these freak offs. You've seen, we went through some of these messages yesterday, and some of that dialogue yesterday, where she would ask for freak offs. She would say, oh, I love you and I love it and I want to be around you. She would talk about, having voluntary freak offs and sex with him, and just basically, they're obviously their job is to poke holes, and they did a really good job in kind of de-arming her and not coming at her in such an aggressive way. It's from my understanding and how I heard it, when they brought Brian Steele in, the first thing he said was, well, how are you guys about to cross-examine the Cassie? What are you guys planning to do? And Diddy's team, they were like, well, we're great cross examiners, we're gonna do it, we have her at every point, we have all of this evidence for the contrary, we got her, we got this. And this nigga was like, oh hell no, we're not doing that. So that adjustment, I gotta say, was a grade S adjustment, okay? A grade S tier adjustment, because the way, and we even read some of it yesterday, the way she did disarmed Cassie, throughout this, she was joking with her. She's telling her, remember we talked about how she's telling her, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so, you're a very competent woman. You're such, you've accomplished so much. And you're such a great person and an intelligent, human being, giving her flowers basically, before she leads her down and shows her these explicit messages and asks her these questions. But there was a few times where, like I said, that Cassie is, laughing and they're having seemingly a respectable and nice dialogue between the two of them. So I think that was a key adjustment, seemingly from the information I got, by Brian Steele. He made this adjustment, which I thought was a fucking no-brainer, but apparently originally Diddy's team was going to go in there with just the men. Are you fucking crazy? Are you fucking crazy to question Cassie? Come on. We got to learn from these. We got to learn from these shits, guys. All right. So let's get back into it. They say, you said Mr. Combs often put you down, but he also sent you encouragement and called you a queen, right? She said, yes. They says, what would trigger Mr. Combs incessant calls to you? They said anger, doubt about where I was. And if he suspected you of cheating, he'd call you incessantly. And she says that was one of the reasons, because he thought, and they said objection, they said a sustain. She said, do you believe Mr. Combs has good taste? She says, I think he does. They asked, he'd had an impact on fashion. She answers, people like his style, Sean John. She said, did you consult with him on your look? Sometimes I got advice I didn't ask for. They asked, he still ran his companies while having all these freak offs? She said he did. Says, what was he addicted to? She says, success, and laughs. They said, what substances? Opioids? She says, yes, he told me, and I saw it. They asked, did Mr. Combs' mood depend on whether or not he was withdrawing from opioids? She said he was more irritable, I would say. They asked, what other drugs was Mr. Combs addicted to? They say objection, no foundation. And the judge says, I'll ask if I want the grounds. The judge says sustain, rephrase. They said, what was his drugs of choice? They said ecstasy or MDMA. Said opioids daily. Says when he was doing them. He said, you saw him withdraw? She says, yes. The judge says, we'll break and they have a short break. Everybody leaves. We It says we might be able to finish tomorrow. This is the most important witness. So basically, and it says we might not be able to finish tomorrow. This is the most important witness. So Cassie, they're trying to tell her, and let me just explain to you guys what's going on here. You know, Cassie can only be here until today, until Friday. That's all the time they have with her, supposedly. And the judge here is basically telling them, hey, we only got her till Friday. You guys gotta, pick it up. Like, y'all gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're basically saying, hey, we might not be able to finish tomorrow. This is our most important witness. And the judge said for months, we said this witness had to be off the stand by the end of the week. It says our direct was a day and a half limit to them to that. The judge says Miss Ventura, the exhibits in advance, maybe just ask her question rather than these exhibits. We have a timing concern. So they're trying to rush Diddy's lawyers along in this. And Diddy's lawyers were basically like, look, y'all can't rush us. We have to counter the prosecution, get these exhibits. Y'all complained about us having all of these exhibits and bringing them in the morning. And, now we have to rush through this. No, we have to question her. She is the sole purpose in which them having a limit on questioning Cassie only up until the end of the week is crazy. That's crazy. I get she's pregnant and this and that, but this is the only person you have to get information from. And you should be able to question her as long and as much as you need to in this case. So that's basically what's going on here. They're having this disagreement, and Diddy's lawyers are basically saying, hey, we might not be finished by Friday because we need to be able to extensively and thoroughly go through all of this stuff and question her until we feel like we're satisfied on what's being presented to the jury. Okay, so we gotta take note of all of that. That's what's going on here in the background. Okay, so 1 p.m. they're back. Judge says Mr. Estevado, the witness, had a chance to review the exhibits. He says they are linked. They said they are lengthy. They said the judge says, well, we'll do the best we can. I was told this witness would be off the stand by the end of the week. We let the jury go early yesterday. He says, if there's something that really needs to be done on cross after lunch tomorrow, I may allow it. We have to leave time for redirect. This witness is being responsive. Okay, so it says Ventura enters, a jury enters, and they get back to questioning Cassie. Okay, so it says, let's turn to GX 411. It says it's not in evidence yet. They said it's not in evidence yet. Then they go to something else. It says, on this page, you wrote, I love our freak offs, FOs. When we both want it. You felt that? She says, loving FOs were just words at that point. Okay. She says, they asked, Mr. Combs wrote to you, I want to freak off right now. And you wrote that you want it too. LOL, me too. She says, I texted more than that. She says, but you did text that to him. She said, Mr. Combs wrote to you, Jules is available if you are into it. You could have said yes or no, and you said, love you. There was no yes or no, she said. And they said, bring up B420 on page 2. Mr. Combs wrote, do I have your permission to set up freaky fun? You wrote ovulation. She says, yes. He said, he says, here, what do you say? She says, I asked which motel. I must have called him in between. I don't want to assume anything. They asked, he said Montang, and you said you could also go to Pleasure Chest. What would you get there? She says sexual supplies. They asked what supplies? Lubricants, outfits. They say, excuse me. He says, have fun, impress me. You say, okay. He says, can we kiss a lot? What do you say? She says, yes. You wrote, I left the iPad. She says, I don't know, though, whose iPad is this meant. Mr. Combs wrote, I've been there. I've been there, right? I guess that was a typo. I've been there right after my session, or I'll be there. I guess he meant to say I'll be there right after my session. This was June 2017. Do you remember arguments you were having at that time? She says, not specifically. Here you say the game starts at 10 p.m. No breaking character to 8 a.m. She says, this was a game a friend of mine told me, a way to rekindle your romance. By doing something different in the bedroom? She says, it's a whole getting into character thing. Okay. Mr. Combs says, let's get some outfits and go sex club. Mr. Combs wrote, surprise package coming from out of state. Why can't I reach you? What do you say? She says, I was getting my brows done. Did you come to know Mr. Combs was leaving to freak off to go see Kim Porter? She says, yes. How did you find out about Gina? How did you feel? Did it upset you? She says, yes. It prompted arguments? She says it did. And he thought you were not faithful. What were his reactions? She says, it was scary. Mr. Combs wrote to you, let's do something different in NYC this weekend. FYI, Dave hit me. What does hit mean? Ventura said, reached out. And Daniel contacted you. Did this mean you might have a freak off? She says, might. They say, he tells you, you better put me on VIP, vibrate alarm or something. He's frustrated you don't answer his text fast. Is he frustrated you don't answer his text fast enough? She says, right. You tell him to come to NYC understanding there could be a freak off. She says, maybe. You also saw the Book of Mormon. She says, yes, and laughs. Masked pleasure, if that, a sex club? I would assume, she says. He asked, are you ready for tonight? What did you say? Yes, I just had to get here. She said, yes, I just have to get some things. This is not about what I felt, right? Because you were skipping over a lot here. She says, what did you write? She says, as much as you think you're Bruce Willis, you're not. Your kids were babies when we started dating. If you saw him on social media on vacation with, was it heartbreaking? She says it could be. It was 7 years in. And what about this? About Gina? You wrote, I don't want to be in a side piece, but I'll treat you as a king. He says, you wanted to be the main girlfriend? She says, in 2013, yes. You saw social media posts of Mr. Combs with other girlfriends and got angry, right? She says, can I speak? I was jealous of certain situations. Did there come a time he suspected you were in a relationship with someone in the industry, Mr. Muscuddy? She says yes. Mr. Combs thought it could be good for your career if you collaborated, if you, sorry, 1 second. Okay. Mr. Combs thought it could be a good for your career if you collaborated with Mr. Cuddy. I mean, Mr. Miscuddy. She says yes. Why did you begin your relationship with Mr. Miscuddy? Said we enjoyed each other's company. You were in a relationship with Mr. Combs? Says we were on a break, but you were still doing freak offs with him. She says yes. After Mr. Combs found out by going through your phone, you went to see him. You knew he was upset. He previously attacked you. She says yes. I thought I'd be safer with other people there. The judge says let's take a break. They come back at 2:38 p.m. Says, okay, let's get Miss Ventura back. The jury enters. She says, your affair with Mr. Combs and your affair with Mr. Miscuddy was only a month long, but you got a burner phone for it. She says, right. Mr. Combs kicked you in the back? She says, yes. He says, this came up later in your relationship that you had cheated on him with Mr. Cuddy. She says he brought it up quite a bit. She says she asks when he cheated, he said, well, you had an affair with Kid Cudi, right? She answers, sometimes. He suspected you of having an affair with another person in the industry. You were in South Africa filming. She says, yes, honey 3, and laughs. While you were there, you saw a photo of Mr. Combs with Gina and were irate, right? She says, angry. You blocked him and focused on the movie, right? She said, I tried my best. Mr. Combs suspected you of a relationship with whom? She said, Michael B. Jordan. You sent a video not only to Mr. Combs, but also to staff. Who? D-Rock? She says, yes. You sent it to them because you were angry with all of them. I was hurt. I spent all of my time with them, she says. You thought they were in on it? The physical abuse, when did your father learn about it? She says the same time as my mother. Did Mr. Combs come to Connecticut to speak with your parents? She says, I don't know if it was then. Carrie Morgan knew about the abuse. She says, yes. The eyebrow gash incident. What was it about? She says, didn't answer the phone and went to sleep. I was supposed to be packing up for a trip. He was inebriated. She says, I don't remember that. They ask, why were you asleep? She says, a drink at the Abbey had something in it, I think. Did Mr. Combs ever abuse you while he was inebriated, then say he didn't remember it? She says, yes. Did you feel he was not taking responsibility? She says, yes. For drugs, you both go to rehab? She says, rehab wasn't really a thing during our relationship. The freak-offs were an opportunity for you to take drugs together? She says, yes. You went a lot to Burning Man. She says, yes. Did you ever call yourselves get high partners? She said, we did. Did you take drugs from him without him knowing? She says, yes. You said, what was his reaction? They asked, what was his reaction? She said, explosive. Did he tell LA dealers not to deal with you? She said, yes. You told Mr. Combs, or you told Miss Coran, that you learned only after the fact that Mr. Combs had dangled Miss Bongolan off the balcony? She says, I'm not sure. She says, you were on drugs? She says, I'm not sure. She says, you got a life coach for your drug use, according to this document. She says, I don't know who that person is. You were doing a lot of drugs? She says, it was a rough time. Now, mind you, take note of how many times they're noting right now in attacking in asking, you were on drugs? Do you remember? Were you high? So you were high. So do you remember this? Why don't you remember? Were you high? They're just in there. They want to keep on poking and asking, were you on drugs at the time? Were you high? Were you this? Were you that? And this is a big play up onto their strategy and what they're doing. She says, I'm not sure. She says it was a rough time. It says you tried to get into a rehab, the Golden Door. She says it was a spa. There was a time I lost all sense of smell and taste and woke up in a hospital with an IV in my arm. I tried then to get help. The time after San Bernardino, and you learned that he had overdosed. She says a very strong opioid. Yes. Were you ever not addicted to painkillers? She says we took a Bogaine or Ibogaine. I don't know what that is. She says, where did you get it? Cancun, Mexico, separately. When Mr. Combs threw you off the boat in Canes, when he accused you of taking drugs and squeezed your leg, she says, among other things, she said, but you still wanted to be with him? She said, I did. She says, switching topics, when you say Mr. Combs went with guns to find Suge Knight, do you remember him telling the government what you did? Do you remember telling the government that you did go with them? She says, no. She says, let me show you. Wow. Just for the parties, they said. I did not go with them, so I don't think I said that. They said, you also did drugs with Miss Morgan, right? She said, yes. Do you recall telling the government that you did not set what he did, hitting her in the back of the head with a wooden hanger? Or no, I guess she meant to say see. She did not see what he did, hitting her in the head with a wooden hanger. That's what she told the government. She said, I saw the hanger. I saw he was angry that I was doing drugs with Carrie. This broke up your 17-year friendship with her? She said it did. Did you tell Mr. Combs about your relationship with your now husband? She said no. Mr. Morgan sued you and Mr. Combs? Oh, Miss Morgan sued you and Mr. Combs? Made a demand. You paid part of that? She said, I did. And you haven't spoken with her since? She says, maybe one text. That was the relationship ender? She says, yes. You would heat up the baby oil? She says, yes. Now, in this form, the day before the Intercontinental Hotel incident, they said, this is a long document. We need time to read it. And I'm guessing they take another break to read these documents. They have a lot of documents and shit. This come back at 4:08. So this is going to be the last of what they have for yesterday. It says, we're in the home stretch of the day. Let's get our jury back. Okay, all rise. And they do that, blah, 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 blah. So you got her back in there. They say, okay, Mr. Combs refers to accessories. They say, for the premiere, you sent him an explicit message. She says, yes. He responded with a number of M's. He wrote, too bad you have to work, LOL. She said he did. They said you asked him, "Are you feeling better?" Then you discuss bodily function. She says yes. Could we just clarify that? Could we just clarify what time these messages are really from with the UCT and these stipulations on that? And this is it below. So she says she wants to clarify with this, and let's pull this up right here. She said, "It is hereby stipulated and agreed by among the United States of America by Jay Clayton, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Maureen Comey, Meredith Foster, Emily A. Johnson, Madison Reddick Smizer, Christy Slavic, and Mitzi Steiner, Assistant United States Attorney of the Council Defendant Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, by and through his attorneys Mark Angfilio Tenny Gringos or Garagos, Alexander A.E. Shapiro, Anna Anina Estevavo, Jason Driscoll, and Brian Steele, Xavier Donaldson, and Nicole Westerlin. Okay. That Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC, is 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time during daylight savings, which is typically between early March and early November. UTC is 4 hours ahead of Eastern Daylight Time, Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC is 8 hours ahead of Pacific Standard Time during daylight savings time, which typically between early March and early November. UTC is 7 hours ahead of Pacific Daylight Time. So they put that stipulation in there. It says Mr. Combs went to your premiere lunch at the London Hotel. She said he did. Then he says, "I just got out of spiritual therapy session." She said, "I asked, how did it go?" He said, "It's a process. It's leading up to the hotel. This is leading up to the hotel incident." She says, "You say, baby, I want to FO so bad. You were asked in your direct, and you said you didn't want him to ruin your premiere." She said, "Sure." Mr. Combs says, "If we start at 7 p.m. and go until 4 a.m., you can get enough rest after." God damn. 7 p.m. and go till 4 a.m. What the fuck did these niggas be? Whatever. She says yes. He's saying it'd be shorter than a usual freak off. She said that's how I would understand it. They asked, what do you say? She said, "Carrie is here. We can't do it at my house." They asked, you say that guy is sick. I'm not going to ask you what you meant. So you were turning to Johnny. Was he a dancer or an escort? She says, "We hired him as a dancer, but he did what an escort does." Okay. "Do you remember the beginning of his freak off in the Intercontinental?" She says, "Not really." "The drugs were bad MDMA, right?" She says, "I have no idea." The judge says, "It's 5 o'clock. Jurors, you may go home. Do not look up anything about the case." And they arise. They said, "Thank you, Mr. Ventura. No discussions with the government. We'll see you tomorrow. Everyone may be seated." Blah, 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 blah. "How much more?" They said, "Let me check." They said, "Half an hour on redirect." They said, "We'll figure it out tomorrow." And that is it for that day. So it is adjourned for that day. And now we're going to move into today. Okay. We're picking up again today. Today is the 16th. Okay. It's the 16th. So real quick. let's get into what's been going on here in the 16th of the case. Okay. And we do have a little update here from Inner City Press. So let's listen to that.
16th, 2025. We're heading back into the third day of Cassandra Ventura on the stand in the U.S. versus Sean Combs criminal trial. Yesterday, the cross-examination yesterday was kind of meandering. It sort of jumped all over the place. It definitely was trying to score some points and make her read embarrassing texts from 2000 and whatever.
It did feel kind of all over the place. It feels like they're trying to rush it. It does kind of feel like they don't have enough time to really go, point by point and bit by bit and hit all the points that they want to point. So it does feel like they're kind of rushing it and bouncing all over the place a bit.
Professions of love, expressions about drugs. What it accomplished, we're not sure. But Judge Subramanian has said that it must wrap up today by noon to allow time for some redirect. Maybe there'll be recross. Nobody knows. But it'll be done. She'll be done. She'll be done this week. Sorry for all these ambient sounds. And Dawn is going to be the next witness. So the trial is really coming along. I will say that this problem yesterday, right after we filmed this vlog, there was a discussion among counsel about the various things they'd submitted to the court overnight, none of which were in the docket. So we've tried to take some action on that and hope to have an update on that soon. And because you can never get enough Diddy, in one of the many civil cases against him here in the Southern District, it was initially called John Doe versus Sean Combs. Now it's called Anthony Tate versus Sean Combs. It involves a party in Miami, drugged drinks. Anthony Tate gave his name to have the case go on. Judge Kaplan ruled that a pseudonym would not work. He gave his name, but now the Sher Tremonti lawyers for Sean Combs, Bad Boy Records et al. Are trying to get the case dismissed, saying that Tate is a Florida resident and that the alleged assault, which was quite an assault, and it's the kind of thing that's not really coming up so far in this criminal trial, that the alleged assault was in Florida, therefore the New York State statute they're trying to cite in New York State federal court is not applicable. So we're covering all of those cases, but that's one of them.
Okay, but we're not in that case. Okay, so let's start and getting into what they have going on today and pick up on what's going on right now. So really, the defense is going to have to wrap up with Cassie, it would seem, by today. But let's see what the judge says. The judge says the government has said the defense's cross-examination can go until 4:30 p.m. today, and they'll limit themselves to 30 minutes of redirect. Damn, they giving them the time. Combs' lawyer Ana Maria Estevao, we have evidentiary issues. It just says, tell me about them. We should have been, tell me about them. It should have been in writing. They says, we don't understand why they are taking time objecting to our exhibits. They said they are proposing to use a video of Mr. Combs walking in nature, talking about God. It's improper. Invited jury nullification. They said, let's hear it. They play the video of Combs speaking about God. You know, Combs had a lot of videos where he's speaking positively and stuff like that, which is one of the reasons why he kind of have all of us for a loop. Kind of had all of us for a loop for a little minute. It says, so we want to refresh her recollection with this. It says it cannot be played for her in front of the jury. They says we have headphones. It just says our jury is ready. Any more issues? It says if the R word taken it is after the charge conduct, it should have come in. It's it's a huge issue for us. And they said, the judge says it's not a huge issue. You don't raise it. You didn't raise it at the time. They said, we thought we could cross on it. So the judge just seems like he completely ignored that shit. He just says, all rise. Good morning. We are still under oath, Miss Ventura. And it says, okay. And it looks like they jump right into it. Okay. So we're picking up from an hour ago, as we usually do. Picking up from an hour ago. It says, you believe Mr. Combs was blackout for the Intercontinental event? She says, I believe he was intoxicated. Everyone's definition is different. It said, but you said blackout. It says, what did you write here? She said, I wrote, when you get fucked up in the wrong way. You mean drugs? She said, and alcohol. Here, Mr. Combs writes to you, I'm so horny for you. They said, this is not in evidence. This is there's an objection here. They said, here, Mr. Combs is asking you for sex soon after the Intercontinental, right? She said, I was saying who he felt or how he felt. I don't know. Maybe that's a typo. It says, what did you write back? She said, I wrote, we need a different vibe than Friday at the Intercontinental. Mr. Combs wrote, fuck Friday. I don't even want to do that again. What did you write? She says, I wrote, LOL, true. Mr. Combs suspected you of having an affair with someone else in the industry. What happened when he took your phone? She says, we were in a car and he told me to call my mother. When I did, he grabbed my phone and took it. They asked, it was a big fight. She said, he was just gone. They said, for how long? He said, for a few hours. My mother called the police. They asked, did Mr. Combs go through your phone? She said, I think so. And he called someone on it. They said, the person you had an affair with, an NFL player? She says, I don't know if he's playing anymore. Oh my goodness. Wow. So they want to continue. And if you guys haven't noticed too, while they're painting the picture of them being freaky drug addicts and things like that, they're trying to also paint the picture that these two were just always high out of their minds, beating the shit out of each other all the time, cheating on each other all the time. And they were really two jealous people who were drug addicts and had no type of self-control. That's basically the picture that they're trying to paint. And now they're trying to bring in more evidence saying she cheated on somebody. She cheated on him with a NFL player, random NFL player. And he's not playing anymore. He said, but he was an NFL player and he was jealous. They said, he wasn't there a time he found out you were dancing with another person in the entertainment industry and took your phone, right? She says, I don't remember. They said it was Chris Brown. Damn. Now Chris Brown is in it. God damn. It said, I was not dancing with him. That's what Cassie said. Says, look at this. It's from 2013. She says, now I see. They says, what else did Mr. Combs take? She said, my car, my passport, when he was angry. Let's refresh you about Mr. Combs being in rehab. She says, I vaguely remember. Why did you go to Sedona? She says, I went to Arizona to get away from the drugs. I'm going to go to a new topic. Mr. Combs told you to go get the video you'd heard about. What did you write? She says, I wrote, you keep putting me down. She says, I'm going to play you some audio. It's Ventura saying, if you saw a video of someone fucking me who was fucking me, you have it. Why didn't you show me? Cause I'm not disrespectful, bro. She says, if you're going to show me, I will kill you, cut you up. Damn. Still in the audio played for the what? Whoa. God damn, she's wilding. This is still the audio. Okay, this is still the audio. I had to make sure she wasn't wilding in this in the middle of court, but this is still the audio played, and she's talking to, I'm guessing, Diddy. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the top. It says, if you saw a video of someone fucking me, who was fucking me, you have it. Why didn't you show me? Because I'm not disrespectful, bro. If you don't show me, I will kill you, cut you up. Oh my God. She says, I will fucking kill you. I've never killed anyone in my life. I am going to fuck you up. It's not going to be blood on my hands. Someone else is going to do it. I'm not playing with that. I'm guessing they're saying sloot. Tell me. She's then I guess they stopped the audio. They said, that was you, right? She says, yes. They said, did Mr. Combs express concern about these videos being released? She said, when? They said, ever. She says, yes. The escort Jonathan you thought he took the video? She said, yes. Mr. Combs spent a lot of money to make sure the video did not get released. She says, I don't know. They said, you had a conversation with Jonathan Adi that was transcribed. She says, I'm not sure. They said, he was volatile. She says, I didn't trust him. What did Mr. Combs say when you told him you thought Mr. Adi was recording? She said, he said he'd take care of it. Are you aware of an escort leaving comments on Mr. Combs' Instagram page? She says, I am not. They said, let's talk about rehab. Do you still suboxone? Okay, I guess that was a typo there. She says something like that. What does it treat? She said opioid addiction. They said objection. They overruled it. They said, you wrote a book in rehab. The place treats sexual compulsion. They said objection. Then they had a sidebar, and we're getting up to the last 25 minutes. They said they're back. They said, did you get neurofeedback therapy? She said, yes. They said, what is it? She said, they hook something up in your head and show you things. See how you react. Were you told the effects of it? She said, help me with my trauma. Did you participate in EMDR? She says, yes. What does it do? Memories and processing them. The idea is you recall prior traumatic memories, like for PTSD. You were being treated for PTSD. She says, yes. I was still physically developing. So you were 22. She says, women keep developing after 22, don't you think? But you were not suggesting you were still physically developing after 22. She says, I am not. This message is about having freak-offs without ketamine, right? Then they say, the prosecution says, may I confer with counsel? The judge says no, but we'll take a break. They leave again. With the jury out, with judge says witnesses list by Sunday 5 p.m. And the judge says now real break. Okay. And have they came back yet? And they haven't came back yet. So they took another break and they haven't came back yet. But yeah, that's is where they are at in court so far today. So just a quick recap for those who are trying to get a grasp on where things are at. They are they're taking a break, but they are giving the defense more time to cross-examine all the way up to 4:30 p.m. And I'm guessing the prosecution is only going to take 30 minutes to respond. 30 minutes to just to respond to all of that. Okay, so there's still a lot going on. This is it for this week. We will still be back tomorrow to finish up everything and go over some more details. I'm going to talk to my people that I got in New York. Shout out to the greatest city on earth, and where it just seems like it's going down this month. But yeah, I will keep you updated as I tap in with the boys today. It's been a lot of work to do and a lot of shit going on. So we're going to continue to keep up with it. Yeah, but once again, I appreciate you guys stopping into the Doja room this morning and keeping up with us all week. I see the people popping in religiously every week. That immediate 50 to 80 people who are popping in here religiously every morning. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We doing numbers. If you're listening to me on YouTube and you're popping up on YouTube, feel free to hop in the chat. You guys, I read all chats. Okay, I usually try to read all chats and keep you guys in the conversation. So get in here, get and send some chats my way if you ever want to, get into the conversation. Yeah, and if you're listening on YouTube, as I said, subscribe. And the channel is called Firstborn Media. If you're on X or Twitch, the channel is called Firstborn Media, where we also stream live, okay? And we post the rest of our content there. And as well, please check out, as I always say, please check out our playlist. We're trying to put power back into the hand of the independent artists. So start checking out our playlist. And start checking out playlists and curators of people, my size and that are trying to put on for, their community. Just check out community playlists in general. People who are putting some indie artists maybe mixed in with some of your faves in there, and they're making sure that you're getting some spins, man. All right. So, and if you want to get into one of these playlists, I got the Diesel's Doja playlist, and we have Melodic Ice. Both playlists have been updated, so please check in and see what new songs we got in there. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys for stopping through every morning. We're going to continue this. I'll be back again. I know it's Saturday and there won't be court, but I will be back again tomorrow morning for us to recap day 5. Today is day 5. So I'll be back to recap day 5 with you guys and wrap up whatever is finished here. It's going to be a lot to get through. So when and I'll have a little bit more context, because this person types really fast and I like to talk to my people on the ground to get a little bit more context of, certain questions and certain things that might be going on, because, it's hard to get the full grasp of everything Cassie might be saying, or, the defense or the lawyers might be saying. So I try to get as much and collect as much bits and pieces as possible to really fill out the context for you guys, so that you guys know, you guys can have a fuller picture of what's going on. Okay. So appreciate you guys for stopping in. To all my stoners, hippies, and hip hop enthusiasts, I love you guys like you're my own. Okay. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow in the Doja room, where we're going to pick up right where we left off. And yeah, we're going to have another great show. Okay. So you guys have a blessed Friday. Turn up. Don't turn up too much. Okay. I'm your boy, Dope Boy Diesel. This is the Doja room, and I'm out.
Yeah. Hey, this that special sauce. Spill that drip, I wipe it off. $1 million worth of game. Can't feel that I work too hard. Poetry all in these.